Hello everybody, my name is Megan, you're watching Miss Megan Knits, and links to everything I talk about today will be in the description box below. So, it's been 3 weeks, I guess, since I last podcasted, and the reason for that is that I wasn't doing much of anything interesting. I've been knitting on the pie shawl I showed you last podcast, which I will show you again and show you the progress that I've made and update you on that. But to be quite honest, when you're working on the outer ring of a pie shawl and there's like 500 and something stitches on your needles and you go around once and a half in 20-30 minutes, you don't feel like you've accomplished much. It's a little bit frustrating and a little bit tedious. I know it's going to come out so beautiful once it's done, so I'm really looking forward to that, but I am a little bit not so jazzed about my knitting. I have been working on a couple other things. I know I said I was going to be a monogamous knitter, but working on just that shawl was driving me absolutely insane. So I am working on some other stuff in between. I usually start with FOs. That's not true, I have one FO, sorta. It took me about an hour and a half to make. And that is a dish scrubby. For those of you who have been following me, you know I've been making dish scrubbies, hopefully in the hopes of doing a craft fair and selling some of them. They're really quick and easy to make, and I love the pattern. They're actually loom knit, which I really like with that scrubby yarn. That way it's not tensioned through my fingers and causing rough spots in either knitting or crochet. It could be the same thing, or the same problem. So loom knitting is a great solution, and it's quick, and it's easy, and it's fun. So let me show you. I have an FO and a whip that are scrubbies. So this is my FO. This is a Scrubby pattern by, I believe, Brenda Myers. I believe that is her name. I hope that is her name. But it's a wonderful pattern. It's made for a 5/8 gauge loom. It's made for a 5/8 gauge 20 peg loom, but she offers suggestions on how to alter it if you have a different number of pegs on your loom. I'm not sure if you can hear that, but the neighbor just started his car, and it is very loud. I'm going to talk over it. Just in case you can't hear it, but if you can hear it, I apologize. It wasn't me. I promise. So this is what they turn out like. My loom is 24 peg and not 20 peg, so this is a little bit bigger than the size the pattern calls for. But it's working out really well. And I have made a bunch of these. Yeah, I've made a lot of these. This one's the only one I've done in this period of time because I'm getting kind of burned out on scrubbies. I've made so many of them, I'm getting kind of like burned out. But I still have scrubby yarn left over, and I don't really know what else to do with it other than make some kind of scrubby. So I've just been kind of plugging away at these. They're great travel projects if you're in the car because they're quick, they're easy. The cast on and the bind off are a little bit tricky, but once you get the hang of it, it's easy peasy. The yarn I'm using, I have a bunch of miscellaneous cotton mill ends that I've been talking about for ages. Pretty much since I started this podcast, I've been talking about these cotton mill ends I'm trying to use up, I'm trying to get rid of. I got these at AC Moore back before it closed, and I think they were $5 a pound for those cotton mill ends. And I'm trying to use them up. I've been making them into scrubbies. It's been going great. So that's the cotton yarn. It's held double with Red Heart Scrubby yarn. This is actually Scrubby Sparkle. So this is one skein of Scrubby Sparkle. Has made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, because there's one in my sink, scrubbies, and there's still this much left. That's a lot. I joked to my boyfriend that if I could only have one skein of yarn on a desert island, it'd be this one because it never ends. I also have a work in progress scrubby on my loom right now. I'm using purple yarn for this one, but it's the same cotton mill end stuff, it's just purple. And yeah, it's been going really well. It's a good absent-minded kind of project. It's good for when I'm feeling not so great and just need something to distract myself from feeling not so great. Code word anxious. Because sometimes when I get really anxious, my hands cramp up and knitting is really hard. So using the loom is actually a little bit easier. Plus this is a very simple pattern, so I can do it, I can feel productive, I can get my mind off things, but it won't hurt me and I'm still able to do it, so it's nice. But yeah, this is a 24 peg. This is a boy loom. I don't recommend this loom. The little top parts have little hooks in them. And if you look up Lumahat's review of the boy loom, she will tell you exactly what I'm talking about. the hooks catch the yarn, and then you're constantly trying to like free it with your fingernails, and it's just a pain. So if I really get into loom knitting, I'm going to purchase a different loom, but just because I haven't really been super into loom knitting lately, or in the past, I just got the boy set because I didn't know any better, and that was what I'm working with now. My favorite tool with this, by the way, is a row counter. Sometimes the scrubby yarn makes it hard to see your rows, how many rows you've done. So using a row counter, I just have mine on a ribbon that I put around my neck, and I just spin the rows, and it works out really nicely for me. So next thing is works in progress. I have my work in progress pie shawl that I'm about to show you. I crammed it all into this bag because I'm using the bigger bag for something else. This is an AC Moore Nicole bag. I really like it. I've been using it a lot. So first, let me show you the picture. This is the shawl, the berry pie shawl by Donna Dracunis. I got this as a kit with blueprint. My mom got it for me for Christmas. It's awesome. Everything is written really nicely so far. I'm a little worried about the applied border because I've done an applied border before, but not to this scale. So I'm a little worried about that, but other than that, that should be good. So the yarn I'm using, this is a little wimpy skein. Let me get a big skein to show you. Cloudborn Fibers Baby Alpaca Fingering in the shade Autumn Heather. So soft, so lightweight. It's got a beautiful halo. It's so bouncy. It is so much nicer than the acrylic stuff that I usually work with. Let me show you the front. And this is what I've got so far. It's kind of crammed onto the needle, and of course lace, you know, lace, it doesn't look good until you block it, so it's kind of crammed onto the things, but it's got this center spoke, and then it's a honeycomb pattern on this ring right here, and then some circle patterns, and then some more honeycomb. And then this is the diamonds on the outside. So I've got one diamond complete. Let me see if I can, the light might be blowing it out. But I'm working on the second diamond. It's feeling so soft, it's looking so good. I'm so excited to have it, but just going around those rows take forever and it's so slow. I think that's kind of the nature of most shawls as they get bigger, right? As you get bigger, your rows are longer and it's just a pain. Good thing is when you're working in the round, you can stop kind of anywhere, so you just go until you can't go anymore. But so far, I'm really, really liking this. This is a blueprint kit, Berry Pie Shawl, Donna Dracunis. Also, side note, I am loving my Knit Picks chart keeper that I got for Christmas. I can't open it because my charts are in there, and then you'll see the charts for the pattern, and this is not a free pattern, so I wouldn't feel comfortable showing that, but keeps everything nice and contained, keeps everything from getting wrinkled. I can move my place up and down. It's really nice, so loving this tool right now. My next thing is plarn. I confess I haven't worked on plarn in a little while, and then I worked on making plarn, but not on crocheting plarn. So I have this big bag. I apologize for any rustling. This big bag filled with balls of plarn. And this morning, I decided to start on some of it. So note, Bear helped me with a lot of this plarn. I'm very excited that he's helping me with the plarn because I'm hooking him into crafting so little by little. He's going to join the dark side. He's going to become one of us. So far, I've got this strip. Oh, this strip is on the bottom. There we go. Because I've started a new plarn mat, which reminds me I've got to update Ravelry. I did not put this mat on Ravelry the day I started it, which was today, so I can still update it, and I remember everything, but I will put that on Ravelry as soon as I'm done with this video. And if I'm not putting it on Ravelry as soon as I'm done with this video, while I'm editing, Megan, note to self, please put this in Ravelry. Stop the editing, stop what you're doing, put this in Ravelry. You said you would. Okay. So, The last thing I'm working on is something I'm actually very excited about. I am designing a shawl. Now, one of my crafty goals for 2020 was to design something, and I was out for a walk on Gooseberry Island with Bear, and I was just so inspired when I got back by all the nature and the different textures and the different colors and the smell of the sea air, which of course I can't really knit into a shawl, but I was just inspired by all of that. So I did some creative writing, I did some doodles, but then I figured I needed to put this into knitting somehow. So I've decided I'm working on a shawl. It is going to be a, I guess, trapezoidal shawl, like a top-down triangular shawl with a center panel. So that makes a trapezoid, right? Trapezoid. And I'm going to use different stitch patterns and textures to represent some of my favorite elements of the island. It's not really an island because you can drive to it. They built a little driveway to the island, but it's really beautiful. So I have a big checklist of all kinds of swatches I need to make. But first, I wanted to point out that I did watch a couple of blueprint classes. I watched the blueprint class on designing lace shawls by Miriam Felton, I believe. And then I watched the class on Shawls My Way, the different shawl shapes with Lauren Nelkin, and printed out the little instructions on how to make a triangle with a center spine. So I have that. Really, there are, let's see, several elements that I want to include. So I'm trying to make it kind of like a cross section of the island. So if you cut the island in half, and then I'm going to put background stitches on the two triangle sides and a more detailed, intricate stitch in the middle that represents something else. So I'm going to have kind of textures and motifs. So in the center, on the top, I'm going to have a tower motif, and I'm going to have trails motifs on the sides because there are lots of grasses with trails going through them that you can walk through on the island. On the side, you have rocks. And then I'm going to put a shell motif in the middle because I always find really cool shells there in the off season. And then sand, some sort of sandy texture because there is sand, it is a beach. And then in the middle I'm going to put something related to birds. There are so many beautiful birds, seabirds, on Gooseberry Island. People take pictures of the birds all the time, and I wanted some kind of motif that would represent the beautiful birds. And then around the whole edges is going to be something representing waves and water. So I haven't exactly determined which stitch patterns are going with which yet, but I have been swatching. So these are getting kind of blown out because of the plastic. But basically, I've been looking through stitch dictionaries, and let me just kind of show you. Oh! That stack of stitch dictionaries. They're not all mine. Lots of them are from the library, so I've been trying to swatch as fast as I can before I need to give the books back. Okay, I think that's a little bit better. Sorry I had to move you guys. The sun moved on me, and this room is basically surrounded by windows, so it's a beautiful place to be and to knit, but to film it's a little bit tricky. So I basically made a series of swatches. This is the pebble stitch from Up, Down, All Around Stitch Dictionary, page 69. And the way I'm keeping track of them is actually kind of clever, I think, if I say so myself. I used plastic sleeves from trading cards. I used to collect Pokemon cards. And I since given away all the cards, but I still had the plastic sleeves. And so what I did was I placed my swatches each in one of the sleeves. And then I can pull a swatch out. And I can see this is Swedish Block from the Easy Texture Knit Stitch book, page 26, I believe. Which, by the way, is one of my tower swatches. I think this might be an awesome tower. There are watchtowers on the island left over from some war or something. I just think they're really cool. But anyway, lots and lots of swatches here. This one's a garter cockle shell. I think that's really pretty, really fun to do. The reason why I'm swatching so many is, one, because I want to see how they feel in my hands. I want to see what they look like up close. I also am really interested in the back side. I know shawls sometimes, like the shawl will definitely have a right side and a wrong side. But if the back side is completely hideously ugly, I don't want it. Or if it has really long floats, so it'll get caught on things, I really don't want it. So that's kind of a thing. And then I also need to be able to put the stitch patterns next to each other and move them around in my hands. I am a kinesthetic person, so I really like to be hands-on with my work. So I want to move the swatches around and put them next to each other and see if they go together, which is hard to do when they're just pictures in books. But anyway, I have many more swatches to make after this. The sun is moving. Hey Google, turn off the chandelier. Is that better? I don't know. I'm trying. But anyway, I have all of these swatches that I want to make. And I've been working away on my list, trying to get a feel for if I like knitting them. Because if I don't like knitting the swatches, how is anybody going to like knitting the shawl? You know what I mean? Okay, so I think that just about does it for me today. I know it's a short one because I've basically just been working on that pie shawl and putting inches on that and doing those swatches. I've been doing a lot of swatches. Oh, and the dog is here. I've been basically just working on the pie shawl and on swatches. So I don't have all that much to talk about, really. That's kind of a shame. Thank you for watching me anyway. I will talk to you all soon. Bye.